I'm here at Book Expo America 2016 in Chicago, Illinois, talking to one of our fantastic members. His name is Michael Matthews, and he has come out with a book that we want to showcase for you. The book is called Financially Speaking. The Best Improvement Starts with Self-Improvement, and it's in its second edition. It's a great book. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Hi, Angela. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. The book is about honing and owning financial literacy skills. It's about changing how people think, act, and feel about money. Some people have a disposition about money as being bad.
And why did you decide to write this book?
Well, greetings everyone. It's Dr. Janice Hooker Fortman coming to you again today, this evening, this morning, this afternoon, wherever you are in the world. It's great to be here, and I hope everyone is staying safe, staying healthy, and doing well. This is the Relationship Matters show, where we talk about all kinds of relationships, because life is about relationships, and there are all kinds of relationship matters. Today, I have a special guest that I want you all to meet. He is an extraordinary person. His name is Michael Bart Matthews. But I like to call him, and a lot of other people like to call him, Big Mike. And when he comes on, you'll find out why we call him Big Mike. But let me tell you just a little bit about Michael Bart Matthews. He is an author, an international speaker, and he is the co-founder of the Matthews Entrepreneur Group. He has 15 years of experience at this, and Michael and his team empower aspiring authors, speakers, coaches, consultants, entrepreneurs, and business owners to tell their stories. What he says is, and I think I might steal this, get your book out of your head so it can be read. And I know a lot of you have stories, and we all have a book in us. Now, let me tell you a little bit more about Michael. He has interviewed, and I think he's got this guy in his cell phone, in his contact list, Al Pacino. We all remember Al Pacino, the Godfather. He also met Brandon Steiner. He have to tell you the story about how he met him. He's the founder of Collectible Exchange and Steiner Agency. You don't know who he is? Look him up. Michael has learned from next level literary industry professionals such as Jack Canfield and Mark Victor Hansen, who is one of the co-authors for Chicken Soup of the Soul. Sharon Lecter, author of Outwitting the Devil and Think and Grow Rich for Women. You know, I could just keep going on and on and on and on and on and on and on. And he has received the John H. Johnson Businessman of the Year Award. And you know what? He's a personal friend with Dr. James Dentley, founder of Inspired to Speak, and Les Brown. This man is someone you should know. So without further ado, I'm going to bring to you Michael Bart Matthews, Big Mike.
Hello, Dr. Jan, and to all our viewers here in the United States and elsewhere around the world. Thank you so much for inviting me on your esteemed show tonight. It's a plum pleasing pleasure, as Les Brown always says, and that's his line, not mine, so I have to edify him.
Okay, okay. Well, Michael, it's a pleasure to have you on my show today. And the theme for this quarter is the purpose of power and the passion of power and the passion of purpose. I think we all have a purpose. And you do so many things. I mean, you are, and what you call it, extraordinaire entrepreneur. You do so many things. But what I want to do in the beginning of this, I want you to tell people a little bit more about yourself, and I want you to start with your journey. In other words, before you became this international speaker, what did you do? I want to know how you got to your purpose.
Wow, thank you very much. Well, I'm the youngest of three children. I was born on the south side of Chicago, and I didn't grow up from generational wealth, but I grew up from a family of generation of love. As a matter of fact, I grew up playing basketball in an alley with a bicycle rim attached to the light pole and bouncing the ball on glass, cut my hands. And eventually I went to Hearst High School where somebody said, "You're going to be the starting center on our state championship team." At that point, I had never played organized basketball, so I sat out my freshman year so I could learn what that center position played. So I sat behind the coach, I checked out the X's and O's, got myself together with my guys in the community who supported me, even though at that point I was the weakest link because I had never played organized ball. But they believed in me more than I believed in myself. And I just grinded it out, and in our senior year, that dream came true. We won the 1973 Class AA City of Chicago and State of Illinois High School Basketball Championship.
Wow. So why do they call you Big Mike?
Well, I'm 6 foot 7 inches tall, but I'm still a gentle giant with my bigness. Because I understand the power of relationship capital and the power of purpose. And my purpose is to build relationship capital, not only with my wife. I like to represent myself just like my wife was with me, even though she's not with me. So when I'm interacting with women and men, men know I'm still a strong man, but women know I'm still a strong but respectful man.
Oh, okay. So so what did you do? I want to know, I want you to go all the way back to the career that you had before you became this financial guru.
Oh, wow. Well, okay, I'll just speed it up really quickly then. After high
You
school,
don't have got a whole hour.
okay, whole hour. I went to Lincoln University on a basketball scholarship after high school. Then I transferred to University of Wisconsin, Parkside. And from there, I went to Europe and played a little bit in Europe. And then I came back and I actually started working the 40-40-40 plan because I wasn't an entrepreneur at the time, meaning working 40 years of your life, 40 hours a week to retire on less than 40% of your income in the private sector at a transportation company. But the blessing there was the owners were Jewish millionaires and they loved the basketball. So they loved me. But they didn't love me because I played basketball. They loved me because I wanted to learn financial education. So I started at the very bottom of that company, literally making $50 a week. When I cashed my check, I only had $37 a week. Believe it or not, a lot of people look at me and as how I am now and forget that you have to grind it out and earn your way to success. So today is tell all, tell the truth, so everybody will know that if you want that dream bad enough, you can make it come true. So I went from $50 a week up to being a manager of the company, making decisions on multi-million-dollar deals and the liaison with the Chicago Transit Authority. But we didn't have a pension plan or a retirement plan. At this point, I'm not still thinking entrepreneurship. So I'm trying to get the most out of the JOB. So I transferred from there and went to the Chicago Transit Authority because they had the pension plan, the 401k plan, they had all the health insurance, they had everything you needed. So at that point, I was rocking and rolling. But then I said, in 2008, the market crashed. And I wrote my first book titled Financially Speaking with my wife, Robbie, who then she's now a retired vice president of a Fortune 500 financial services firm. And she was on a trip in London. While she was gone, I decided to tell our story and write a book about how during that financial crash that we moved our money around and we were blessed because I didn't have the knowledge and wisdom. I just got that internal guiding system, spiritual universal nudge to move my money out of stocks into stable income. Even
Oh,
though it was only earning 3% interest, I didn't lose anything.
okay.
See, and a lot of my friends were losing 80, 90, $100,000 or more, and I didn't
You
lose
know,
any.
I remember that. I remember that. You know, when people were losing all this money. Yeah, you were smart.
Yes, yes. So they said you ought to write a book. So
I
I
say
wrote,
Bobby was smart. She probably.
oh, yeah. Because if you really, men, I'm going to talk to the men on this one statement. If you want to do better, marry up. Meaning
Amen.
marry somebody who loves you for you, but is willing to help you to become a better you. And that's what my wife did for me. She loved me for me.
Okay.
And I slid my check over to her and said, look, babe, since we're going to get married, you need to know exactly how much money I make. Even though before we got married, I was in the process of getting ready to buy my own home, single bachelor. I could afford it. So it wasn't that I wasn't making decent money.
Mhm.
But again, being a vice president of a Fortune 500 service company, she looked at my check and kindly slid it back and said, you just need to make a little bit more money. So,
Oh my goodness.
yeah, so she smiled, I smiled, and then we put a master plan together. I
Okay.
started making more money. We started pooling our money together, and we started investing. And that's when someone asked me, was I an author?
Mhm.
And matter of fact, I met you during this time of my life at another organization. So Robbie said we need to become better speakers. So we went to this one-day event, free, and it
Mhm.
was 500 people in the room. And
Mhm.
the coordinator was asking everybody, "Why are you here? Why are you here?" So he asked me. I said, "I'm already an author. I want to become a better speaker." He responded by saying, "Your dream is too low. You need to become an international speaker." I said, wow, I had never thought about being a professional speaker, let alone an international speaker. So
Mhm.
again, the second time in my life that a major seed was planted, that somebody saw something in me that I did not see in myself. Long story short, that same day I interviewed with Mike Dicker, the 1985 Chicago Bears championship coach, in front of a room of 500 people live on
Hold
stage.
it. Hold it. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. You said who?
Mike Dicker, the
Oh,
1985 Chicago Bears Super Bowl championship coach.
Mama's ball. Wait. Is that the Super Bowl shuffle? Is that was
Oh, shuffle, yes or yes.
Mama's boy, oldest one of a kind? That's the only part I remember. Keith. My husband sitting right there. I remember that part. Anyway, go ahead.
So from there, the bug was hit. You know, my wife was there and she cheered me on, and I was there as well. So at that point, I said I did a good interview with no professional training. So the conversation came up. Well, look, I'll be in Florida next month,
Mhm.
and you want to interview Al Pacino? I said okay, but I thought all this was smoke and mirrors. But we
Okay.
took the chance. We jumped out of the airplane with no parachute, and we flew to Florida. We get to Florida. It's a room about 3,000 people from about 71 different countries, and my wife and I spoke on that stage for about 15 minutes. Then after that speaking engagement, it was me and the Godfather himself, Al Pacino, live on stage.
All right. So, what is Al Pacino really like? I mean, how was the interview? Was it hard, or was he? How was he?
Interviewing Al Pacino is like you hosting this show with me. You're making it so smooth, and his professionalism made that interview so smooth. Remember, I was the inexperienced guy. He is the industry cinematographer, experienced guy. So I asked him a financial question since our company was financial literacy education, similar to the same question that I asked Mike Dicker. And I said that, Al, my wife and I, we promote financial literacy education. What would be your advice to athletes and aspiring actors, as well as the general public, to best hone and own their financial principles so they can keep most of their money? And
Okay.
then he calmly said, don't choose some of the accountants that I have.
What?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, I mean, he had a bad financial experience, and this is live on tape. It's nothing that I'm fabricating or anything, and I'm not trying to throw Al under the bus. What I'm actually doing is he was willing enough to share his experience with us and 3,000 other people to help prevent us from doing some of the same things that he did. And he turned his life around with his finances, just like we all can turn our life around with our finances if we listen, learn, and apply to the people who have blazed the trail before us.
That's very true. That's very true. So now we're talking about purpose. And so do you feel now we've talked about a couple of things. First of all, you're a financial guru along with your wife, and you are also an author. So do you mesh that with your purpose? How do you know that this is your purpose? Or what is your, you know what, before we say that, what is your purpose anyway? What do you think your purpose is?
From the words of my current coach, Dr. James Dentley, my purpose is to serve others from a cup that's not full or a cup that's overflowing, and then the universe will help me to serve myself.
Okay.
My purpose in life, really, now at this age, is to serve others. And
Mhm,
to answer your second question is, how do you know if this is your purpose?
mhm.
Just like when I was an athlete and playing basketball in front of 10, 15, 20,000 people, and I was the center, so I jumped center. So that means when the arena is quiet and the ball goes up, and you can hear just the crowd of the refs and the squeaking gym shoes, and you get that feeling of adrenaline, and you just know you're doing the right thing.
Uh,
I know I'm doing the right thing when I'm talking about financial education and when I'm talking about my manuscript publishing company. Because to help someone create a book, you have to serve them.
Okay.
To help
Yes.
somebody better their finances and know the numbers, you have to serve them.
Yes.
To get when they get the results, that's the best feeling in the world.
Okay. Okay. So it, I had a question because I thought that, but now I see I'm wrong, that you transitioned from from financial empowerment to helping people to tell their stories. However, I see that it's really the same in a sense. In a sense, I like that what you say about getting that book out of your head and getting it read. But before we really go into how you help authors, give my audience a financial tip or two, because right now with COVID, a lot of people are extremely worried about their finances. So what is a tip that you can give to people so that they can, I guess, plan for the future?
Well, a tip that I've been using all my life that Ray McCoy used to own Sweet Georgia Browns way back in the day in Chicago. Him and I were good too. I managed to just be a,
Gotta let people know what Sweet Georgia Brown is.
it was one of the swinging African American nightclubs on the south side of Chicago back in the day.
Southside.
And
Okay.
he gave me a financial tip one day, and it was we were talking, and he said, "Don't let your these are his exact words, so I'm gonna say it the way he said it. Don't let your outgo exceed your income, or your upkeep will be your downfall.
Oh, I like that. I like that. And that is most of our downfall. Is like it's coming in, but it's more going out, and it's the upkeep. But you know what I think? I think now during COVID that people have found out that they don't need all of that upkeep, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? I think we're finding out that a lot of things that we thought we needed, we really don't need. But that's my opinion. But I have another question. One of the viewers have put in the chat. If you had $2,000 to invest, what would you do? What would you do with it?
That's a good question right now, because the economy, the way it is right now, it's stable in certain markets and it's unstable in others. I would suggest if you can collaborate with people of like-minded and trust and pool your 2,000 with somebody else who may have 2,000 or 5,000 on a bigger deal that would yield more ROI on the back end and has less risk involved of loss, because during COVID-19, no one wants to lose anything.
Yeah.
So first I would do my due diligence on the investment. I would get to know, like, and trust the people that I want to invest with. Number three, I would decide if you have the money to invest it and you lose it, is it going to make or break you? So don't invest something that's going to make or break you. Robbie and I have invested tons of money. Some of the deals went good and some of them went sour,
Yeah.
and still afloat right now because we didn't invest something that we had to pay the rent with or the mortgages, to give you an example.
Okay.
Or the $2,000, you can invest it in yourself and get you a business entity, because now is the best time to be creative, because you're a masterpiece, because you're a piece of the master as well, and create a product and service that you can sell and put on a global marketplace, because e-commerce and online is the paradigm shift of the way the world is going. And if we're not on e-commerce and online, I was told by one of my good friends out of Trinidad and Tobago that if you're not making money while you sleep, you might as well stay awoke.
Wow. You got a lot of goodies. As a matter of fact, you get a lot of gems. I guess because you are such a great person, easy person to talk to, and easy person to meet. You're getting a lot of gems from a lot of people. You need to put all those gems in a book. But you know what I'm saying?
I know.
Wow. Wow. This is amazing. Now, Mike, when you have a show, you got to pay for it. And so what I'm going to do, I have to leave for just a minute, and I've got to pay the piper. I've got to do a couple of commercials. So we will be right back with Michael Bart Matthews.
All right.
Hey, we are back, and I want to transition into you as an author and you as a publisher. So now you've written 2 books, correct? Oh, excuse. Oh, excuse me. You've written 4 books. So now, what was the first book that you wrote?
Well, the first book was the first edition of Financially Speaking in 2007. It was the first edition of Financially Speaking. And the second book was 10 years later, which was the second edition of Financially Speaking. And that was the book that put our financial business on the wings, because when we internationally spoke in South Africa, when we were hanging out with Randy Zuckerberg and Ndaba Mandela, Nelson Mandela's grandson, live on
Name
stage.
dropper.
Well, I'm trying to let people know where I came from.
Okay, okay.
This is the journey. I came from the south side of Chicago, not knowing anybody but the people in my community. So the question is, how did I do what I did? And the only way is for me to tell my story is to get my own story out of my head so my story can be read, just like the 30 plus clients that I've helped to become published authors, and that is improving.
All right, all right. And so you wrote those 2 books, and the third book.
The third book is titled Finding Your Moment of Clarity, Discover Your Power Within. And that was my very first collaborative book with 9 authors from 5 different countries. And that was on 5 continents and numerous different time zones. So after that project was complete and all the authors were satisfied and happy, I knew at that point that I've learned enough that I knew I can do what I do. And I loved what I did. But I did that one at minimal cost, and it was just a beautiful experience for me.
Okay. And just so that everyone knows, I am one of the authors. As a matter of fact, I was selected to do the introductory chapter in the book, and it's all about effective communication and relationships. And so that's my shameless plug. But how was it working with, you said 9 other authors? How was that? Because when I'm helping someone to write a book, it's kind of difficult just working with one person. So how is it when you're working with 9 different authors?
Purpose, passion. I dig deep to figure out what their purpose and passion is. And I always tell them this: choose a wish, find a dream, pick a shooting star. Let your hopes and spirits soar high and free and far. Reach for the unreachable, then stretch to touch the sky. No dream you treasure is too far away and high. Believe in the impossible, then work and try and do. For those of you who dare to dream, you can make your dream come true. So if you have purpose, you have passion, and you have a dream to become a published author, and you're coachable, we can get it done.
All right. All right. So I like that words, what you said, if you are coachable.
Yes.
What does that mean?
That means meeting deadlines, understanding that your coach in this position, you're paying somebody to get you results, not to be your friend doing these sessions. I can be your friend and let you write a book that won't do anything, or like Dr. Jan as well. We can be your coach, like the coaches we had, and they will spare no feelings to tell you what you need to hear. Because I would prefer to have a coach to tell me what I need to hear versus what I want to hear.
Okay.
Because that brings the desired results.
Okay. All right. Did you have a coach when you were writing your books?
No, ironically, I wrote my first book just on a prayer that I can do it, and I knew I had a story. Robbie actually was the book cover designer. She she's designed all of the books that we do, even for our clients, as a matter of fact. But back then, we didn't have no professional experience, but she has that corporate background and the IT background as well, with that. And I just had the will and the desire, and I'm like Phil Jackson, so to speak, the thought process. The thought process is put the X's and O's together and pass it on to the team members. It's our job to execute. So I wanted to execute for the win in spite of anything.
Okay. Okay. So do you think that it's important? I know, and I'm talking now about the book collaboration. Do you think it was important for you to establish a relationship with each one of those authors in order to get that, well, it wasn't a book because they each wrote chapters, but to get it out of their heads so it could be read? How is that as far as forming a relationship with them, so that you could really, because the reason why I'm saying this is because there are a lot of people who really have a book inside of them, who really have a journey, or really have something that they want to share. And a lot of times they don't trust that person to help them to get it out. So what do you do? Do you establish that relationship first? And so this is going to be like a question and another question too. Do you choose who you are going to work with? So do you establish that relationship first?
Well, it depends on how I actually meet the person. If
Okay.
I meet a person through somebody who I already know, like, and trust,
Mhm.
99.9% of the time, that stranger is also a friend because of the introduction.
Mhm.
So, and then that makes it a little bit easier. But when it's just somebody that might have responded to an email and called me, I
Mhm.
have a series of Q&As that I go through just to see where their moral compass is, what their purpose, what their passion is, what is their story, what are their goals, what are their reasons. And the number one reason is, why are you writing or want to write this book? Because there are other people who want to write books, and I've been talking to them for 5 years off and on.
Okay.
Some of them are my friends, but I don't take time out of a scheduled customer to chat with a friend who could have had 10 books done by now.
Okay.
So procrastination is the assassination of success. And the ones who use
I'm
speed of
gonna steal that.
implementation, and the ones who use speed of implementation because they're coachable, like my friends in South Africa.
Okay.
Um, Charlie Munson, I'll name drop a couple of people, my daughter Lucia, and then Carl. We all had different experiences with writing, but when it came time to put the pen to the paper or the fingers to the computer, we all did what we had to do and came out of it really quickly with no hassles, no problems. The same with the 9 people in Finding Your Moment of Clarity, and the same with yourself and the 9 other authors here in the United States who are all business owners in the Power of Purpose and Harness the Power of Purpose book. So when people know their purpose and know their passion, and they are coachable, see, that's the
Okay.
key.
Okay.
Coachable. Coachable means taking instructions, meeting that timelines. If you don't know, don't be afraid to ask the question. That
Okay.
type of thing.
Now, because I'm focusing on passion and purpose, I've had a lot of people to ask me how. I don't know my purpose. I know when you said the purpose, our purpose collectively is to serve others, but they want to know how to serve others. In other words, yes, I can serve, I can do this, but what is my passion? And is my passion my purpose? So do you think that passion and purpose kind of mesh?
Yes, they are both intertwined, just like a husband and wife are matched and intertwined with each other. Passion and purpose is the same. I'll use myself as an example. Again, I like to talk about my coach, Dr. Denley, and he walked up to me one day about a year ago and said, "Big Mike, you and your wife, you do 98% of your businesses, 100% of your business together." He said, "There's nothing wrong with that, but you need your own business." And then he walked away. That was the end of the coaching session. 15 seconds. That was it. That's the third time somebody planted a seed in my head, though. So what I'm talking about is seed planting when somebody sees something in you that you don't see in yourself.
Okay.
Later, I did my due diligence, and I've always told, look at something that you're doing that you love, and you're doing it for free. If you can continue to do the same thing and help others, attach a dollar figure to it. So really, I stayed in my passion and I stayed in my purpose, and I just continued to write. But instead of just doing it just for me to publish a book, I decided to serve others and attach a financial monetary award in exchange for the servicing of others. And I came up with my company, We Create Books. We help you to get your book and tell your story out of your head so it can be read.
Okay. Okay. Now, what about a lot of people feel that they have a passion and they want to monetize their passion. But there is that fear of failure. How do you get over that fear of failure?
Well, fear means two definitions:
Okay.
false evidence appearing real,
Okay.
or feeling excited and ready. Okay? So I'm never going to get over my fear because my fear means feeling excited and ready. Now
Okay.
back to the real definition of fear for some people, false evidence appearing real, and it's people are afraid to be vulnerable. They're afraid to let people know they don't know something. They're afraid to make a mistake in front of a lot of people. So my position is, are you going to get off the porch and run with the big dogs, or are you going to believe that you can do it? Because if you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you can't. Either way, you're right.
Okay.
Why not believe that you can do it? Just like E.T. wanted to go back home, or Dorothy wanted to get back to Kansas. They had to believe it to achieve it. And in those movies, even though they're fictional, they actually did it.
Okay. All right. Now, I'd like to talk a little bit about passion. And just like you used yourself as an example, I like to use myself as an example. And I think I did a speech and I wrote a paper on listening to the universe. Are you listening? Because I think that we usually come across our passion, or our passion shows up in us when we're kids. And I look back over my life when I was a little girl. I loved to play school, and I was always the teacher. And when I look back, when I was like in elementary school and high school, I liked to tutor. I liked to teach. Then I became a teacher. And even now, what I love to do is educate, is to teach. That is my passion. That is my passion. And I believe that is well, not I believe, I know that that is my purpose, is to educate people. And it could just be something that comes from me, or it can be where I'm putting people on my show so that they can educate people in whatever they do. Um, I also did a presentation. It was in Toastmasters, and it was entitled There is a Book in You. And I had everybody just write a paragraph, and just like whatever comes to your mind, whatever it is you love, whatever it is you like to do, that's your purpose, that's your passion. I think that's something a lot of people say you're not born with it, but I really think you are. I think it's something that's in there, that's, and you just have to recognize it. You know what I'm saying? So I love that you know what your purpose is, and you have aligned it with your passion. Now I have to go away for another moment. But we'll be right back with Michael Bart Matthews. And we're going to talk some more. And so now I got some questions that I want to ask you. Not about being an author or financial, just some of the things that I read about you. So we shall be right back.
Okay.
Now that was my shameless plug.
You know,
That was my book, that the first book that I wrote, and it's called Secrets to How Not to Throw Mama from the Train. Now, and it's all about the challenges in the adult daughter, aging mother relationship, how to negotiate the challenges. So now I'm going to ask you, you met Brent Steiner. Tell my audience how you met Brent Steiner.
well, that's interesting. We were supporting Dr. James and Dr. Cara Dentley and at the city summit and city gala in California a couple years ago. And
Now, wait, everybody doesn't know what the city summit and the city gala is. So tell people what that is.
well, it was founded by the late, God rest his soul, Ryan Long. He passed away. But Ryan Long started this organization and he got a lot of the high level movers and shakers involved in creating an atmosphere, a frequency, and a community of giving back to others, organizations, auctions, speakers, consultants, business owners from literally all over the world. Number one, from Main Street to Wall Street, people showed up, and it was one of the most educational, relationship building experiences that I hold dear to my heart right now. So Dr. Dentley allowed us to have a seat at the table, not just us, but several others who took out the hand and went. And I got suited and booted and got ready to go because I love to get to the events early because I know you'll miss something if you don't. So I'm standing there suited and booted, waiting for my taxi to come because I didn't call an Uber. They're too small sometimes, so I just called a stretch taxi if you know what I'm talking about. And here comes Mr. Brandon Steiner. At this point, I really did not know who he was, but let me tell you the story. He was suited and booted. He came up to me with a box under his hand, and he has a thick New York accent. Hey, big fella, you going to the city summit and city gala? I said, yes. He said, you look like a baller. Who did you play with? So I told him all of the professional and collegiate athletes I played with in high school, college, and overseas in Europe. And he said, well, I played 3-on-3 with Michael Jordan, and I kicked his butt. Now I'm looking at him. He's 5'2", looked like he couldn't dribble around a shoe, but he just told me that about Michael Jordan. Now, remember the rest of this in terms of relationship capital and how I built the relationship capital. I didn't know who he was, but I gave him respect.
Okay.
Even if I didn't believe him at the time, I showed him respect. So we get in the cab, we're making small talk. He told me a story about his mom's and how she helped him build his paper route when he was having a little trouble with paper routes when he was younger. And then he said, I'm going to give you my business card. I want to keep in touch with you. We get to the city summit and we depart. I'm sitting front row and center, and the third person to be called was the owner of Yankee Stadium, a person who made millions of dollars selling chairs and dirt out of Yankee Stadium, was Brandon Steiner, the same gentleman that was in the cab with me. So I said to myself, what if I would have just acted like, get out of here, dude. You didn't done none of that. It would have been no relationship capital. But when he got up on stage, he saw me. He just waved, and I waved back, and like I really knew him all my life. And when he got off stage, that was it. So 3 weeks later, his personal assistant called me and said, Brandon Steiner said it was nice to meet you. He'd like to send you a gift. Can I have your address? I said, sure, with the quickness. Again, being busy after that call, I forgot all about it. 3 weeks later, a box shows up at my house. Inside the box, there were three gifts. One gift was an autographed professional league baseball with Brandon Steiner's 5 key points on it for success. Number two, it was a pen with Yankee Stadium dirt and a letter of authenticity in it saying this was authentic. And then his mom used to tell him when he was a kid, Brandon, you got to have balls in order to succeed. So inside the book, the third gift was his book titled, You Gotta Have Balls. And on the back of the book is a picture of Yankee Stadium with him standing in the front smiling.
Wow.
Established that relationship. Time went past. We didn't do anything. Time went past. And then I helped organize him to appear on the Dr. James Dentley show. And Dr. Dentley and I allowed me to be the co-host with Brandon Steiner on that day, and I thank him for that. But that's the power of building relationship capital. The moral of the story is, because you never tell a story without a point, you never make a point without a story. That comes from coaching, right, Dr. Jan? That's why you're smiling. The moral of the story is, don't judge people by how they may look on the first impression, or how may they sound, or even if they may seem uninterested in what you're talking to or pitching with them about. They just might be doing their due diligence to check out, are you somebody I even want to be around? They may love what you say, but if you don't have the right personal connections, in other words, like Dr. Jan says in chapter 1 of Harness the Power of Purpose, she quotes Chris Tucker, and she says, can you hear the words coming out of my mouth? Because her chapter is about communication. And there's two communication devices and frequencies. One is the sender, who is the speaker, and the other is the receiver, who is the listener.
Yes.
So I remember that one line from Chris Tucker, as well from Dr. Jan, who continues to make it famous, because it helps in order to negotiate your relationship capital and your power and purpose and passion.
Yes. And that's very, very true. Do you understand the words that's coming out of my mouth? Exactly. And your words are powerful. The meaning behind your words, though, is another issue that I'm not going to go into, because when we talk about communication, we talk about effective communication, and we talk about building relationships. You can say, it's a beautiful day, or you can say, it's a beautiful day, so it all depends. Now, another question that came in, if you could go back in time, what would you tell your younger self?
Wow. I would say life is full of opportunity, opportunity, opportunity. I mean, I was successful off the exhaust of other people's dreams when I played basketball, because I never had the dream of playing professional basketball, even though I was getting good enough to be the starting center, playing with state champions, playing with all-staters, playing against all-Americans, playing with and against professional players. I really didn't have what Napoleon Hill says is that burning desire to play professional ball. I had the desire to play and compete, to let them know that I had game, but I didn't have that burning desire, or else I would have put the real work ethic in to get my skill set to that level where there was no denying that I should have been in the NBA. So I have no regrets about not playing in the NBA. It would have been nice, don't get me wrong. It was never my dream or my burning desire. People around me, that was their goals and dreams, and I support them. I cheer for them to this very day, and it's just a blessing. But I learned how to use basketball and how to win in the game of life because of the life skills that basketball taught me.
Oh, okay. Now, when you were young, and I'm going back to listening to the universe when you were a kid. Did you ever write anything, or did you ever try, to write a book, or were you good at writing?
I was terrible at writing. I
Oh,
was terrible at spelling, but I was good at poems.
okay.
I've always liked poems and I've always liked spoken word. So those were the type of events or characters or people or music that gravitated toward my consciousness and my subconsciousness. So fast forward today, I would say writing has always been in me, even though it wasn't an earlier dream for me to do what I'm doing now. I never shied away or feared away from writing, even if I couldn't spell the word, it didn't matter. I, I didn't allow those fears to stop me because people laughing at me, it just rolled off of my shoulder like a duck in some water. It didn't matter. Because when you know that you know, like Nisa Nichols says, that you know that this is a learning curve. You're gonna make some mistakes, and it's okay. It's okay.
Okay. Well, Charlie Munson has a question. What got you started at writing?
Well, when I looked at thanks, Charlie, and that's what my brother in South Africa, we met him when we did our international speaking, and we're doing some beautiful things now in the beautiful country of South Africa as well. But what got me to writing on the professional level was in 2007, when the market started crashing, and this is the reason why the subtitle is Get Your Book Out of Your Head and Tell Your Story so it can be read, because I felt it best that my wife and I tell our financial story from a standpoint of me not coming from the financial education, and then the total opposite side. She was a vice president of a financial services firm. So, in order for me to understand that the book really had wings, one of our friends out of Utah, Carolyn Chase, is an MBA out of Harvard University.
Mhm,
I sent her the book and said, "Tell me what you think about the book. Let me
mhm,
know if it's something good on people of your caliber and level." Because she had an MBA. I had a
mhm,
PhD, which was a
mhm.
public high school diploma, and she had an MBA. Total different spectrums of education, but the quality was there. She
Good.
liked it. As a matter of fact, on the back of Financially Speaking, she gives a testimonial and puts her credentials on there because of the material and content and information that's in the book. And I'm not name dropping, I'm just letting people know the power of passion and it doesn't matter where you come from. It matters where you are, and more importantly, where do you want to go in life? And
Okay.
okay.
All right. Yeah, so we got just a couple of minutes left, and what I want you mentioned that you write poetry or you write poems, and you gave us one, but give us a poem.
Okay, I'll give you a poem that I like. When things go wrong, as they sometimes will, when the road you trudging seems all uphill, when your funds are low and your debts are high, and you want to smile but you have to sigh, when care is pressing you down a bit, rest if you must, but don't you quit. That's one of my favorite poems because quitters never win and winners never quit.
Thank you, Mike. Now, if people want to get in contact with you and they want to get that book out of their heads so that it can be, or they can be read, we can reach Mike. And look, he got a chapter out of my head so it can be read. So I just have to tell y'all that. But you can reach him at wecreatebooks@gmail.com. Mike is your manuscript development coach, and he'll also help you with your finances. Mike, I want to thank you so much for being a guest on my show. Look, I just a couple of things I got to say. This is, I mean, some of my viewers, this has been so informative. I need water. Informative. Thank you both for your insight. And wow, love Michael Bart Matthews poems. Cannot get enough of them. You know, you ought to write a book of poetry, because I've heard some of your poems that you created yourself. So, you know, think about that. Next book.
I
Okay.
have a book coming out, 52 Shades of Inspiration, with 52 poems that I literally wrote. And I didn't want to tell any more of them. I just wanted to let people know that I can go and flow with the best of them, but it's coming out in one of my next publications.
All righty. All right. Thank you so much, Michael, for being on my show. And I'm looking forward to your next book, your next collaborative book, and your book of poetry. So I want you to have a very blessed the rest of your day, morning, or evening. Bye, Mike.
Bye-bye, and thank you everybody for coming.
Wow, this has been great. It's been a great show. And if you really want to write a book, you really do need to get in contact with Mike. So this has been another episode of Relationship Matters. And I have a couple of more shows that we're going to talk about purpose and passion, what your passion is and what your purpose is. And I want you to remember, relationships matter because there are a lot of relationship matters. So now if you would like to advertise on the show and increase your visibility, please contact us at 1-877-667-7325, or you can reach me at janfornow125@gmail.com. If you would like to be a guest on the show, so now I got to get my banner straight, right? You'd like to be a guest on the show, you can reach me at janfornow125@gmail.com. It's been great being with all of you this evening. I want you all to have a blessed evening. I want you to stay safe. And I want you to remember that relationship matters. There are plenty of relationship matters, and we all have them. Bye-bye for now. See you next time.